glad that he is working out, like he is, kind of getting in the whole basketball mode. He's just not, doing 5v5 action right now as he recovers from this ankle injury. And like I said, he's going to have a massive responsibility next season, whether the Warriors bring in another center that could start on this roster or not. QP's set to be playing 20 to 25 plus minutes a night next season, and I'm confident in him to do so. I think he got better as the season went on. Remember, was brought over in late January, and his contract was turned from a two-way into a standard deal. And then, once February, the calendar shifted to February, and the Warriors made this Jimmy Butler trade, like QP was dominating out there. I mean, February and March, this guy was a 10-point per game scorer, shooting at a 42.5% clip from three-point range. And this isn't on, one attempt a night. He's not getting spot minutes here. This is starting action. Like, he started 5 games in February, 7 games in March. Like, he was a big part of the Warriors being on a 60-win pace to end this past season. He's doing this on 4, 5 3-point attempts a game. Uber green light, super confident player, and I can't wait to see how his offensive game progresses over next season and beyond. Now, as far as what Quinn Post was doing during Summer League, like Emmerman said, he spent his time courtside watching the Warriors roster go at it. And a couple of other Warriors Summer League alums were also in the mix as well. Brandon Pajemski, Trace Jackson Davis, Guy Santos were all on the Warriors. I guess they're in attendance watching the Warriors game, all courtside, hanging out. And they've just basking in this nice sun up in Vegas and enjoying their offseason as they don't have to be a part of this anymore. TJD and Pods did play Summer League last year, but after I think it was 2 or 3 games, they decided that they were probably too good for that competition. In Quinn Post's case, what was he doing, outside of whenever the Warriors were playing in Summer League? He was out there just working on his game, and not his basketball game, his chess game, as Derrick Rose hosted a chestival over in Vegas during Summer League, and a bunch of different NBA personnel were playing. I think Daryl Morey was playing, D'Anthony Melton was playing, Rajon Rondo, obviously D Rose took the whole thing up. And in this photo, Quinn Post is going head-to-head against Drew Gooden, former NBA player, and each of them have either a grandmaster or a very high-ranking chess player with them, kind of guiding them along. But QP in one of the rounds that they were playing with, he got in the main bracket, he got eliminated like the semifinals. But during the blitz round, he was taking names, he was cooking. So I love that he's got the good stuff in between the ears, high IQ player, and it's very evident that he was down when he was dominated in the chess game over in Summer League. Just a quick, fun tidbit. You don't always get to see these types of things. Pods, TJD, Quinn Post, and Guy Santos were all hanging out courtside during the Warriors Summer League game. Well, they had more than just those 4. Actually, Kevin Knox was hanging out with them, who had a weird, he had it's not like a two-way, and then he ended up getting his contract converted to a rest of season deal when the Warriors were kind of maneuvering around the NBA roster requirements after the trade deadline. Remember, they sent away 4 players in exchange for Butler, so things were kind of wishy-washy towards the end of the season. Knox ended up being a part of that, a part of the Warriors roster there, and was on the Warriors bench for all of the postseason as well. As far as what he did for Golden State, didn't do much. Kind of got in for a couple different, blowout appearances, and most notably, he had a solid outing. I think he had 12 points against Charlotte when Golden State won the game by 40. Other than that, though, not much to write home about for Kevin Knox. Solid defender, decent enough athlete, but at this point, especially with the the role that he has, it's very tough to be a super efficient 3-point shooter or outside jump shooter. So clearly, that wasn't evident in his game at this point. But the Warriors could absolutely bring him back. They only have 9 roster spots filled at this point, and it seems like with him hanging around all the guys who he was a part of the roster with last year, it seems like a decent chance that he ends up getting brought back by Golden State. So be on the lookout for a Kevin Knox signing, whether it be a two-way or some other kind of less than minimum contract that Kevin Knox was signed to come back to Golden State, because it seemed like he was fitting in pretty nicely there with all of the culture. Now, as far as the rest of those 9 roster spots that are being filled right now, I know a lot of Warriors fans aren't necessarily super confident in this group, and a lot of people are like, what's going on with this roster? It's garbage. This is a disservice to Steph and company. But Steph doesn't share that same sentiment. He is feeling pretty confident in this group, which we're about to show you a quote from him, but it just really feels tonally different than it was back before the 2024-25 season started, or even the 23-24 season began. So Steph, it really seems like to me, as we'll read this quote, that he's a lot more confident in this group heading into next season. Here's what he had to say. He said, "The narrative outside versus the narrative inside might not always be the same. We talk, we have communication. I know what's going on to the point where I have a lot of confidence in our ability to put together a winning team next year. That's all I want. So Mike Dunleavy had made a comment about Jonathan Kuminga. He was being interviewed during a summer league game, and he had said that based on his play after Steph Curry went down in Game 1 against the Timberwolves, that a big reason that he would want to bring Jonathan Kuminga back is his performances against Minnesota during those 4 games. Now, I won't sit here and say that Jonathan Kuminga played bad against the Minnesota Timberwolves. No, he absolutely balled out. 24 points a night, 55 from the field, good efficiency from three-point range as well. He's playing with confidence out there. But the same reason that Mike Dunleavy is saying, a big reason that I want to bring him back, is probably the same reason that Jonathan Kuminga doesn't want to stay in Golden State to begin with. Because how did he get this opportunity? How did he get this production? By Steph Curry going down. A player that he doesn't really fit all that well next to him. So, yeah, he had this awesome outing. He put up these awesome numbers. But it wasn't with the Golden State team that was meant to be out there. It wasn't within the system, within the offensive flow of what Golden State is trying to do. They literally had to put Jonathan Kuminga out there and tailor everything around his heliocentric pound the ball offense. And guess what happened? They lost all 4 times. And I'm not saying that Kuminga is to blame for all those losses. Look, there was clearly not enough help throughout the rest of the Warriors' rotation. But it's interesting to me that puts up all these great numbers and they just don't end up resulting in wins. And even down the stretch of some of those closer games, like, where was Kuminga? I don't know. But I will say, like, who knows what's going to happen? Like, we just read yesterday that this could leak all the way into August, so we'll see how long this ends up taking. As far as what we know about potential trade partners for Kuminga later down the line, the Suns are the latest team to express interest in JK. They just brought in his former G League Ignite teammate in Jalen Green. And they lose out on Kevin Durant this offseason as well, when they had been interested in Kuminga way back when the Warriors were trying to deal for Durant back in February. So they're coming back into the fold now as they try to probably replace Durant and find a new wing for that young core surrounded around Devin Booker. Now, the hang-up with not only the Warriors re-signing Kuminga, but also finding a trade partner for JK is that he is not really living in reality. He wants $25 million per season. I wouldn't give it to him. Look, you guys know I wouldn't. And you guys can clown me in the comment section all you want. But he wants $25 million a year, and there hasn't been a deal get done yet. And teams really haven't seriously pursued Jonathan Kuminga to this point. So it seems like the only people in the entire NBA who think that he's worth $25 million a year are the Golden State Warriors themselves. Let's get into some Suns and Warriors trade proposals for Kuminga here, because it's really only a couple of options